14 hours of play, and it all comes down to this big flip. What did she say?
Today is the start of the Mystery Million. This is one of the most important events at the World Series of Poker, and it's just getting our year started. There will be 2 millionaires alone that come out from this event, one by simply pulling a piece of paper. It's a lottery, literally. I'll be trading in $1,000 for 40,000 tournament chips, and the idea is actually really simple when you think about it. All I have to do to win $1 million is win everyone else's 40,000 chip stack. That's pretty easy, I think. So assuming somehow these people are way better at poker than I'm giving them credit for, there is another alternative way to winning $1 million, and it's much easier, believe it or not. All you have to do is make it into the money. Pretty easy, right? And then after getting into the money, when you bust someone, so when I take someone's chip stack, it can only be one, doesn't have to be all of them, I'll have a chance at drawing a little piece of paper, and in that piece of paper, that's where I shine most. If you guys have watched some of my previous videos, I played a mystery bounty just like this, and I walked away with over $30,000. So if I'm being honest, just by virtue of being excellent at pulling out pieces of paper from treasure chests, I think I got a really good shot at this $1 million bounty.
I feel a little bad for you guys because it's really hot out there and it feels great in here. But anyways, we're heading over to the World Series of Poker right now, and there's nothing more important to me than driving.
The World Series of Poker Mystery Millions starts now. What better way to be greeted to the poker table when I sit down and the first hand I look at is pocket kings, pocket Kirons. I'm sitting here with about the starting stack, which is 40,000. Under the gun raises, and then someone else 3-bets to 4,000. If that's not ridiculous enough, some fool just cold calls. Actions on me here on the button. Easiest spot to look like I'm stealing it, but I have pocket Kirons, the ultimate nuclear weapon. I go ahead and decide to 3-bet, or 4-bet I should say. I make it 13,000. Under the gun folds, the 3-better calls, and then the guy double cream cold calls twice. Yeah, that's pretty awful. But this is the Mystery Million, so there's going to be some interesting characters in the mix. Either way, we go off to a flop that's always coming in ace. Ace, 7, 9, rainbow. Action checks to me. I'm going to go ahead and continue by just checking here. I see no point in betting at it. It's likely that one of these opponents has an ace, and if not, then I don't really have to protect against too much. The turn card is now a deuce. Once again, that shouldn't change too much, but unfortunately, the 3-better goes ahead and leads out for 16,000. Next to act folds. Action on me, although he can be bluffing sometimes, and there is a chance I should look him up here and there. This time around, I feel like that's not a great idea. I'd be committing more than 60 or 70% of my stack in the hand, and I just think it's best for me to get out of dodge. It's unfortunate. I'm disappointed for the outcome, but it is what it is at this point. I fold. That hand didn't work out in my favor, but hopefully this one does. I'm sitting on around 25,000 chips to start this hand. Action folds to me in the small blind, and I raise King 4 of diamonds to 3.2k, a little more than 3x the big blind. The big blind snap calls, an older gentleman playing very, very fast, and the flop comes out Queen Jack 7 with 2 diamonds and a club. Seems like a good spot for my range to be a little better. That plus I do have that second nut flush draw. I'm going to go ahead and bet. I make it 2,500, and our opponent snap calls so fast I can't even keep up with him. Turn card is Jin. It's the 9 of diamonds. Brings in a ton of straights, and moreover, it makes me my flush. I'm about to bet, and then I see something out of the corner of my eye, something that I see a lot of weaker players do, and something that I guarantee is one of the easiest live tells to spot in poker. Moreover, something that you can definitely take advantage of. I was going to set out a bet. I was actually going to bet fairly small, and I saw that my opponent had picked up the chips and was trying to beat me into the pot. As you guys know, this is something very common for the older folks in poker. When they don't want you to bet, they try to exude confidence, they try to exude aggression when you're trying to bet, when you're thinking about betting. They will even sometimes say, bet whatever you want, I'm going to call anyways. This is exactly the example of doing what they want the opposite to happen. They want to see a cheap showdown. They want you to get to the river for cheap. They want to buy a showdown for as cheap as possible. That's not going to happen. Right out of the corner of my eye, when I see that happen, I decide to go all in. It's extreme. I know that. But I'm trying to kind of level war him, if that makes sense. I know that he knows that I know. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's a little hard to follow, but I try to take advantage of this live tell. I want him to call me off super weak. I don't want to succumb to his, bet really small. I'll call a small amount. In reality, I feel like he likes his hand kind of, and maybe he just falls in love with it, thinks I'm a young idiot, and just blasts off. I don't know. Either way, he pretty quickly folds. So clearly he had a pretty weak hand. He was just putting on a facade, as we mentioned. But yeah, something to be, a little mindful of next time you play.
All right, that was quite the experience. I don't think I've ever had a more ridiculous 1K table draw at the WSOP, like early on day one, level 2, Danzak, and like another bracelet, I forgot his name, bracelet winner. It's just like infinite great players. And then here's little old Kieran just trying to tread water with 10 big blinds or whatever. Anyways, we're moving to our next table.
Things have gone from bad to worse pretty quickly. We have made the walk to a new table, but nothing is working in my favor. It is now level 10, the big blind is 2K, and I look down at ace 4 offsuit. With the action folding to me, feels like an easy spot for us to go ahead and steal these blinds with 10 big blinds, so I go all in, and luckily no one calls. So every time we steal a pot, like we did in the last hand, we buy ourselves one orbit at a time. Eventually, we are going to need to get called or get lucky even and win a big pot. The problem is, it seems like no one's really fighting back at anyone. In this next hand, I'm going to try to take advantage of that, if I'm being totally honest. It's the same level, 2K, 1K, and I'm sitting on a similar stack as the blinds have passed me by at 21,000 chips. I'm in the cutoff, and I look down at Queen 8 offsuit. Again, not a great hand, sitting on 10 big blinds. The blinds just passed me. I could wait for a better spot, but in reality, I just feel like people have been super passive, so I go ahead and jam, looking to steal the blinds, and the action folds over to the big blind. They're mulling their decision over. I can see that this is kind of a close one for this opponent, and I'm obviously hoping for a fold. The best case scenario, they have like pocket sevens, and it is a flip, but very often I'm going to be dominated or even drawing fairly thin. All that to be said, our opponent eventually does make the call, and they are ahead. We are going to need to get really lucky, and really lucky seems like it might be the case. We flop ourselves a gutter ball to the straight, 10 at 9-5, looking for a jack, a queen, an 8 to make the best hand, and the turn is a jack of clubs, all being, this is unbelievable. I thought our day was over, and just like that, we have found a massive double up. The river is an inconsequential queen, so we get there twice, a pair and a straight. All that is good news. A massive double up to finally give us some breathing room. That hand will definitely provide some momentum for the rest of the session. It's level 11 now, 2,500 big blind, 1K small blind. I'm sitting here with King Jack offsuit. I do have less than 20 big blinds, but I like to stretch my blinds out as thin or as big. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to make my chips last longer than just going all in. And this hand's a good example of something not good enough to go all in with, but decent enough to try to steal some blinds. I make a small raise, but unfortunately we do get a call from the small blind. We're going heads up to a flop in position where we make middle pair. Action checks to me, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw a small c-bet. Our opponent calls pretty quickly, and the turn card now comes a pretty bad one, as it's the queen of clubs. My hand now is looking not great, to be honest. A lot of hands that my opponent's gonna have, like queen 10, king queen, now improved to a better pair. So when the action checks to me, I'm gonna go ahead and try to get the showdown as cheap as possible. I check it back. River's a deuce of spades. Opponent checks to me. No value in betting here, so I go ahead and check it back pretty quickly. He shows jack 10, and I show my king jack, which is better than jack 10. The kicker does play, and once again, another pot heading my way. We are finally making some headway. All right, the blinds are officially eating us alive. Not many hands have been played in the last 30 or so minutes when this next one happens. We are only 5-handed at this point, so the hijack, aka under the gun, raises to 5K. He does have me covered, but I am sitting on a small stack of 34,000. After it folds to me, I think this is a decent spot with ace-8 offsuit to go for a bit of a steal. I get it, in regular gameplay under the gun, ace-8 offsuit doesn't really work well together, but considering we're only 5-handed, our opponent definitely could be raising significantly wider than the hand that I'm currently holding. And moreover, there's a bunch of chips to steal in the middle right now. If I can take this pot down by some miracle, I will end up with over 12,000 chips. That boosts my stack over 20 or 30% if I'm not mistaken. So I go ahead and go for gusto. I go all in, and luckily for me, everyone folds. With a little bit of breathing room we were able to give ourselves in the last hand, we finally have 20 big blinds again. Action folds to the small blind, who goes ahead and limps. I looked down at queen 7 offsuit. Not very good to raise, so I'm going to go ahead and check my option. The flop comes out giving me middle pair once again. Seems like we can't get much better than middle pair, but that's neither here nor there. Our opponent leads out for 5,000 chips. I go ahead and make the call here. Be a little too early on to fold a pair. The turn card comes a deuce of clubs. Doesn't change too much here whatsoever. The flush draw from the flop is still there, but it does not improve. It does not come in. And when he bets 10,000, leaving himself 10,500 behind, I don't really understand what he's trying to get at. Considering his stack size, I think that clearly he should be jamming any ace all in pre-flop when the action's folded to us. So it kind of feels like he's trying to buy the pot, if I'm being honest. I don't understand the story he's telling me. Does he have a massive trap? Does he limp pocket aces here? Does he have ace king or something? Maybe. I mean, there's a chance of it if he's balanced or whatever the Europeans call it. But in reality, I just feel like he's kind of trying to buy the pot. You'd probably go all in with an ace considering he's so short stacked pre-flop. So I'm going to go ahead and make the call here. I want to leave his bluffs in. The river card is a brick. It comes out the king of clubs. It doesn't change too much. I don't think my opponent's going to be blasting off with the random king high. But again, I've been wrong before. Luckily for us, he checks, leaving that we have a pretty easy decision to go ahead and check back. He announces 8 high pretty quickly, and I'm happy that we played the hand like we did. We got the most out of it, and we're going to win that pot with a pretty crappy queen 7 off. This momentum has left me feeling like I am untouchable. This next hand takes place at the same blind level. Finally, we have chips to play with. I don't feel like every single hand I'm at risk of being busted. Early position raises to 5,000 with 40k chips. I am in middle position, and I 3-bet with my pocket nines to 14,000. He goes ahead and makes a call. He just entered the tournament, and the flop comes out ace 10 6 rainbow. Not very good for my hand whatsoever, but kind of good for my range, as the Europeans would say. Ace high feels like a board I can just range bet. Look at that, man. These terms are coming out of me left and right. Action checks to me. Like I said, gonna go ahead and range bet. I make it 8,000. I can go pretty small here, as what I've been learning, or I think is the right thing to do. Doesn't matter if I bet 8,000. If I bet 20,000, effectively, I'm putting the same amount of pressure on my opponent. I don't think he's going to be coming along here with random hands like king 9 offsuit or these kind of weird marginal holdings, and we can still get value from hands that are weaker than us. So like the gut shot straight draws, obviously, we're equity denying, but we're also charging those draws. And beyond that, I can kind of figure out what I want to do on later streets if I wanted to bluff. All that being said, our opponent tanks for quite some time before eventually folding. Very good for us. If we got him to fold a better hand, that's amazing. If we didn't, it doesn't matter. We win the pot, and that's what matters. We have now made it to level 12, 3K big blind, and the players are dropping like flies. Nearly 100,000 chips to start this hand, when the button jams his remaining 20,000 chips. Less than 7 big blinds, action folds to me in the big blind myself, and it looks like an interesting spot here. I peel a king, and almost any other card I'm probably going to go ahead and call. When it's a queen, it's easier to do so. I pretty quickly make the call, but then something super weird happens. I flip my hand over, I make the call, but then the dealer mucks my hand. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then my phone falls over. It is absolute haywire over here. I have no idea what the hell's going on. Eventually, we recover my hand from the muck. I don't even know if that's allowed, but the floor staff said it was cool because I did make the call and I did shut my hand. Weird. Anyways, we get the camera sorted. Everything's situated. We have the best hand. We flop ourselves. Top 2 pair. The only problem is our opponent freaking has jack 8 of diamonds. Yeah, it's like a flip. Any diamond, he wins. He has a straight flush draw, so even if I make a boat, he could, in fact, end up with the best hand somehow. Either way, We're going to need to fade the world at this point, and it's not going to work out. The 10 of clubs comes on the turn. He now improves to that straight we were worried about, looking to hit a king or a queen on the river to save us, but that is not to come. It's the 5 of clubs. We lose 20% of our stack, which is definitely painful at this point, but it could be worse. Unfortunate beyond belief. We are finally getting some momentum, and losing that all-in is very, very painful. Following that last hand, I think we officially have a rivalry. We are now 1 for 1. Me and that opponent have been battling for quite some time, and this next hand happens where I'm in early position and I race to 6,000 chips after I look down at pocket 10s. He is now in late position and jams 41,500 chips. Action folds back to me, and this is well over half my stack, but once again, it is 4 shy of 10 or 15 big blinds, I believe, and with the hand as strong as pocket 10s, I'm never folding. I make the call pretty quickly, and our opponent shows ace deuce offsuit. 3-betting ace deuce off, not ideal, I don't think, but then again, I jammed all in with queen 8 offsuit like 20 minutes ago, so, you know, it is what it is. Either way, the flop comes out very beautiful. Queen 8-8 with 2 diamonds, and only I'm holding a diamond. Our opponent is dead to running straight cards or an ace, and that's exactly what falls on the turn. It's the ace of diamonds. That's really brutal. We now have no chips if we happen to lose this hand, but we do have a backdoor flush draw now. If any diamond comes on the river, we can still improve to have the best hand, but it's a black deuce of spades. That is not going to be good enough for us to get the best hand. I am absolutely crippled. I have 21,000 chips left, 7 big blinds, and my day, my roller coaster of a day, just continues to head in a downward spiral. After losing that last hand, I'm disappointed. I feel like this tournament was mine to be, but clearly now it's going to be harder more than ever. We're deep in the tournament and I have no chips to show for it. I have less than the starting stack you're giving when you buy in. I could literally leave this tournament and rebuy and have more chips than what I currently have. The only problem is late registration is closed. Anyways, the action is on me, and I looked on a queen 9 offsuit. The problem is I'm going to lose 2.5 big blinds when the blinds pass me in just a few hands, which is going to leave me crippled beyond belief. At this point, I still have some fold equity. 7 big blinds is not something to be, to just bat an eye at. It's pretty serious. So I go all in for 23,500 chips. Action folds through everyone, but the big blind snap calls and shows ace king. Oh, that one is a nasty one. And it's not really looking much better because the flop comes out 5-4-3 with 2 clubs. My opponent now has a straight draw to go along with having the best hand with ace king high. But it seems like it's still my tournament to be because the turn is a 9 of spades. That came out of nowhere. We improved to the best hand. We're looking to fade any ace king or straight card for our opponent. And the river is a 6. Let's go. That is a huge pot being pushed in my direction. Not for exact value, but because that gives us momentum. That gives us more than 7 big blinds.
That was easily one of the most brutal levels I think I've ever had in my WSOP entire career. We've been playing this thing for like 7 years. Hands getting mucked when they shouldn't have been by dealers. It's super slow, but to be fair, the World Series of Poker literally is barely just starting, so you got to be forgiving, I guess. But nonetheless, we're going to absolutely put through the ringer. Just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Still not looking too great. We come back with 10 big blinds, looking to spin it up. Yeah, we begin whacked. It's not great. We'll figure it out.
I honestly feel like a cat with like 9 lives or however many lives I have. Like every time I've been pushed down, I've found a way to get back up, and that is what you call resilience. You're going to need it in a tournament like this because this thing is like 4 days long, coupled with the fact that you're constantly dodging landmines. We're doing pretty decent. I'm sitting here with 31,000 chips. The blinds are still eating me alive. That's good for 6 big blinds. Ace 7 offsuit, 6 big blinds. Seems like a match made in heaven. I'm going to go ahead and go all in here. I jam, but then unfortunately the button calls pretty quickly. Everyone else folds. It's ace 7 offsuit versus ace 9 offsuit. We're looking for some help, and the flop's actually pretty decent. We flop a backdoor straight draw as well as some chop opportunities. 8-8-6. Looking for some straighty cards, some 7-y cards, or some 6 cards. And the turn is exactly what we were looking for. It's a 7. Whew. That's pretty decent. You know, we're looking to fade some outs here on the river, but when the river comes a jack of clubs, we end up doubling up in a huge spot once again. All day, the entire freaking day, we've had no chips to work with. This is no different, but again, with that double up, we buy ourselves some more time. I have a new set of chips and a new attitude. Action folds to me, and I have ace-10 offsuit sitting on about 15 or 14 big blinds. This spot, I'm just going to go ahead and go all in. I don't want my opponents to call me with like ace-jack or, I don't know, some kind of like random holding. If I can ever get them to fold like pocket fives or pocket fours, that's a good thing. I go all in. Everyone folds. Once again, stacking up a pretty healthy sized pot, and that's once again going to push me in the right direction. Earlier, we talked about trying to find a little bit of steal spots with hands that are a little marginal. This next one's a good example of that. I'm sitting on less than 12 big blinds. I have 70K and the big blind is 6K. I have ace-3 of spades. I think more often than not, the books, the computers, and the European pros will tell you to just go all in here. But I don't know. I'm feeling a little quirky, and I feel like my edge is definitely post-flop against this group of people. So I'm going to go ahead and raise to 12,000 chips. Only the big blind makes a call, and the flop comes out queen, jack, 10 with 2 spades and a club. Great for me in many ways. Range, I have a flush draw, I can make a straight, I have an over. There's a bunch going for me on this board. And when the action checks to me, I'm going to go ahead and bet a very small amount of 6,000 chips. My opponent quickly makes a call, and the turn comes out not a great one. It's a 7 of diamonds. It doesn't change anything to the board texture, and it also doesn't improve me in any way, but I still have the betting lead in this hand. So when the opponent checks to me, I'm going to take full advantage of that. If there's ever a spot to double barrel, it's probably now. It would suck if my opponent goes all in. I'd have no choice but to call. But if I could ever get him to fold a random holding like pocket sixes or bottom or middle pair, that would be outstanding. And it seems to just be the trick. Our opponent pretty quickly makes a fold, and that huge double barrel is going to provide us a massive stack. Finally, have a little more room to breathe. That's all I've talked about today is breathing room, because we've had none of it.
About 20 minutes to the next break. We're sitting on about 12 big blinds, which happens to be the peak of our stack so far. So hopefully we can make it to dinner, maybe catch a double up before then, and give us some real hope.
Once again, the blinds are going up, and once again, I have 10 big blinds. It's becoming comical at this point. This entire tournament has just been me sitting at the very bottom of the totem pole. 75,000 chips and a dream. The opponent to my right, the biggest stack of the table by far, might even be the chip leader. He raises to 16,000. I'm directly to his left, and I look down at pocket eights. Let's go. This is exactly what we needed. I go all in. Action folds back to him, and he quickly makes a call. My pocket eights versus his pocket sevens, and this is the run out.
He's got 75.
Let's go! That's fucking huge. 20 big blinds. I'm freaking finally able to break through these shackles. Let's go! Life works in crazy ways. Just minutes before that last hand, a friend and a compatriot, a coworker actually, for Poker.org, JoJo, had texted me that she was going to come over and railbird to see if I could make it through to dinner break. I told her that I was struggling, I had no chips, but I was going to guarantee double up before she came. That, in fact, happened. She still came to show some support, just a few minutes left in the session before dinner break. But I told her, we made her double up. I'm positive. I told you I would get it for you. And she says, no. You owe me another double up. I came all the way over here. I need you to double up. Go all in blind. I'm like, I'm not going to go all in blind. It's the hand before the break. We're almost out of time. I run over to my seat. I take a seat just as the hands are being dealt. Folds to the small blind chip leader, who we played on the last hand, and he raises to 24K. I look down at my hand, and you'd think that I was writing a movie script at this point. Hollywood has nothing on the capabilities of what the poker gods are willing to write. I look down at pocket aces. Last hand before dinner break, in a spot that clearly looks like I could be stealing a pot, I go all in for 20 big blinds, 175,000 chips. Action is now on my opponent, who tanks for a very long time before eventually making the call. Let's go. We need to hold. He has 10-9 of hearts. I have pocket aces, and this is the run out.
Always a sweat.
Oh my God. When that heart comes on the turn, My heart sinks. I look at the dealer, and the dealer's even trolling me, saying there's always a sweat. Like, what is going on? I feel like I'm being anti-sweated by the dealer. I'm being anti-sweated by this Euro guy who's all in next to me. But I've got the heart. I've got the soul. And more importantly, I've got two amazing individuals real birding on the side there. Jojo, Alex. They're hoping for the best for me. And the river's a brick. It's a king. Just when you thought they wanted to see us fail, I looked them straight in the eye and I said, this is the K Rizzler Invitational.
So the girls come over to give us a sweat. I put my phone away. There's only 5 minutes left in the level. I'm thinking, you know what? Let's just get to dinner break with the 170K that we have in our stack. Let's just make it there. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna think things over. We're gonna relax. On the very last hand, I go over to the girls and thank you guys for coming, showing some good vibes. I doubled up right before they came. And they said, oh, what are you talking about? You're gonna be all in on this last hand. I'm like, don't put that energy out there. A little did I know they meant it. We now officially have a chip stack. We've been sitting on sub 10 big blinds the entire day. I'm tired. Now we have dinner break. We're on dinner break and we have a ton of chips. This is crazy. Let's fucking go.
After recharging the battery packs and enjoying a beautiful dinner at Nacho Daddy, I'm coming here with the attitude to win. I look down at ace 6 of spades in early position. Big blind is 10K. I make it 20K to go. Older gentleman on the button decides to make the call. We're going to a flop here, heads up, where we make ourselves a little bit of equity by way of a flush draw. I go ahead and continue by betting a small amount. I make it 12,000. Our opponent quickly raises to 30K. Don't really know what story he's telling. He has about 220K to start the hand. I go ahead and make the call. Don't want to bloat the size of the pot just yet. The turn card comes out the 10 of clubs. I check it over to my opponent, continuing to play and flow, and he checks it back. A little bit weird. And the river card comes out the 5 of clubs. I don't end up with anything. I miss all of my draws. I don't make a pair of aces. This is kind of a disaster. I think about my options here, and then I consider, I just don't feel like my opponent's ever going to have a hand that's good enough to withstand a bet. I'm going between what sizing I should choose. I'm mulling it over, and then I realize, you know what? 45K is the magic number. I think that number can get my opponent to fold a random middling pairs that he decided to freaking raise a flop with. I don't really know. I'm just trying to get him to fold anything that was a pair on the flop. He clearly doesn't improve to a better pair on the turn when it comes to 10. And more importantly, I just don't think he's ever going to flop a set and not bet the turn when the turn is pretty inconsequential. It just doesn't change anything. All that being said, I make it 45K, and my opponent tanks forever. Literally forever. I am waiting here patiently, hoping for a fold. He calls. He freaking calls. I flip over my hand because I always do. What's going on? He's doing the thing where he looks at his hand. Am I getting slow rolled? Is this old man slow? Wait a second. Did he just muck his hand? What? Ace high is good? Was that just the sickest value bet you've ever seen in your life? I'm telling you, I'm playing poker at a different level. You guys didn't think that I was going to go for value on that river? That's where you guys fall short. I find the sickest value bets. It's just the level of poker I'm playing right now.
Everybody sweating some stories. We need the money.
There's not enough words in the English dictionary to describe how ridiculous that last hand was, but we'll just say it was peachy. This next hand occurs just a few moments later. I'm now sitting on 420K stack. The cutoff makes it 20K to go. I'm on the button with ace-jack offsuit. I think this is a spot where I clearly should be 3-betting in position with ace-jack, but I go ahead and make the call, which allows the small blind to come along as well. The flop comes out 8-6-4, all hearts. We do in fact have the ace of hearts. Action checks to me, and although I do like betting here, it's really important to have some checkbacks that contain the ace of heart. It protects me, and more importantly, if I get check raised here, although I do have a really big hand, both opponents have really big stacks, and we'd be playing a very massive pot when I feel like I can control the size of the pot, at least until I make the nuts. I check it through, and the turn card comes the king of clubs. The initial raiser now bets finally after the delay there on the flop. He makes a bet of 40,000. I go ahead and make the call on the small blind, and fortunately he folds. for them. Unfortunate for them. The river card now comes the queen of clubs. None of the draws that I'm thinking of really get there. The straight draws, if it's 7-9 or 9-10, none of the hands really get there. And when my opponent goes for a huge bet of 125K, I'm just like, dude, I don't believe you. Like, what hand can bet that turn and bet this river? Like, does he have exactly like king, queen or something? Like, where he just feels really confident about his top pair? A pot size bet feels extreme. Is he deceptive enough to check a set or a flop flush? Maybe, but then again, I do have the ace of hearts, which blocks a ton of those traps on the flop. I don't think you want to be trapping with middling flushes on the flop out of position, but again, I'm just not seasoned. I'm not well versed enough to know. My curiosity is definitely getting the best of me, and I just don't think I can come up with a credible hand that my opponent can have. And when that's the case, I just go ahead and do the autopilot move, which is just make the call. I call pretty quickly, honestly. My opponent flips over queen 5 of hearts. Oh, that is disgusting. Ugh.
All right, another swingy one. There's a lot to go over. That last level was crazy. We obviously we misplayed that one hand. I don't know. I just thought because he bet so big, there's no way he had any value. But who knows? I don't know. I let that one beat me up for a while, and then eventually I was like, all right, dude, I gotta not dust off the 20-some odd big blinds I still had. So we locked back in, try to focus again, center the cheat. And yeah, 4 hands. Don't really need to go over in an official sense, but we picked up a bunch of nice ones. We 3-bet king queen from the big blind, all in. We get a fold. We 3-bet jammed. Ace jack offsuit, all in. We get a fold. We pick up queen jack flop top pair. C-bet small, get a called, bet turn, get fold. It was just good. It worked out really well. So now we're in the media room, totally alone, which is nice. We're going over what's been a really crazy day. It's just been nuts. There's been a bunch of hands that I feel like we've played pretty well, and honestly, only the one hand that I feel like it was questionable, but I feel like the reasoning was halfway decent. Anyways, I'm getting delirious. This is way past my bedtime. We only have 2 levels to play, which is about another hour. We're currently sitting on just shy of 20 big blinds, if I'm not mistaken. So peaking in the tournament, once again, staying positive, staying locked in. This is a big spot, man. Let's go. Come on. Millie, here I come.
We are finally on a bit of a heater, but unfortunately they move my table. People are dropping like flies. The one thing that we can say very happily, very, very positively, I don't know the English language clearly, I have made the money. I'm solid now. We now have the opportunity to go and build a stack for day 2 with 5 or 400K or 500K in front of me. The big blind is not very kind. It's 30K at this point. It's huge. But once again, an early position player raises a very small amount with a very small stack. It folds to me in the big blind, and I look down at ace 10 of clubs. This is kind of a tricky spot. Should I go all in and try to steal the pot from him? I don't think he's ever going to fold better, if I'm being honest. He's never going to raise fold ace jack, so that's something to worry about. But the other big thing is, like, do I just commit myself to the pot? Does he have a hand like pocket 9s, pocket 8s, king queen suited? He's just never going to fold a lot of these hands, and it's best for me to just see all 5 cards with my exact holding. I mean, likely I make some equity on the flop anyways, and we're just going to get the money in the middle, I guess. But I don't know. I just go all in here, and my opponent beats me into the pot with pocket kings. We're going to need to get lucky for one of the most important pots of our poker career. Ladies and gentlemen, this would solidify a huge stack to get in to day 2 with a chance at $1 million bounty. The flop is 10 high, and we do also pick up a backdoor flush draw. Any ace, any 10, any running clubs, and we can eliminate an opponent and give ourselves a huge opportunity at $1 million tomorrow. The turn is a brick. I need a river, and I need it now. The river falls, and so do a lot of my hopes. I'm now crippled beyond belief. I have like 6 big blinds. The day is coming to an end in just a matter of moments, and it feels like this opportunity has slipped away from me.
Here's the situation. There is 10 minutes or 13 minutes left until we make day 2. The problem is, as you guys saw from that last hand, we have 6 big blinds. We have no chips left, so it's a grind, but Not gonna just throw it in there. I'd like to make day 2 and give myself a chance at these bounties. Let's go. 3 hands left. I'm gonna have to pay the big blind and the small blind, but we just went all in and went small pot, so I'll take that.
I'm now in the big blind. Under the gun raises, and it's a little bit bigger than the small raise and makes it 65,000. Action folds all the way to me in the big blind, and I'm just hoping for no sweat. I want to just get through today, make it to tomorrow, and just give myself an opportunity. I just want to make it. I want to get in the bag. I want to feel some confidence. I peel my first card, and I see an ace. My heart sinks. 2 things can happen. Either peel a card that's going to make me sweat and it's going to be frustrating because I have no chips and I should be getting it all in, or I peel another ace. Oh my God. What the? We have pocket aces on the second to last hand of the day. My heart is beating out of its chest. I go all in and my opponent beats me into the pot because he has pocket kings.
Last hand, aces versus kings. Oh. You gotta be on this. I gotta make sure I see
4-5. I got her.
Oh, that was scary.
Boom! The river is a brick. We end up with the best hand and a huge opportunity for tomorrow. 510,000 chips are going into the bag. Just when you guys thought I was out, I refuse to be out.
I was so crazy. 12 or 13 hours of poker straight. At least we guaranteed a double up of our money, so we're up 1,000 minimum, which is good for the total on the World Series of Poker and the promise I made to my mom. But all that can change with a single pull. We could literally make $1 million just by pulling a piece of paper, bro. That's so cool. It's so crazy. 54 or 5,300 people played this single flight, and I think there's only like 250 people left. So, you know, we never had a bunch of chips. Like, we were just, that was so freaking awesome, man. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but it's going to be very long. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you guys like these type of videos. I tried showing as much behind the scenes, just giving you guys a raw emotion. Hope you guys enjoyed everything anyways. I'll see you guys on day 2 on the next video. Let's go! Focus!